Hello everybody, Sunday Adelaja here, back with you on Reconstructing Nigeria and Nigerians, because we cannot reconstruct Nigeria without reconstructing Nigerians, first of all. So today I'm going to be talking about creating an environment for national development. So what kind of environment can really make us to catch up with the rest of the world and to become a developed country, a first world country, a civilized country? Well, for that to be done, a citizen must be taught to properly relate to its environment. Unfortunately, I don't see anybody teaching us in Nigeria. I don't see anybody teaching Nigerian populace and Nigerian citizens on how to properly relate to the world around them, to the society at large, how to properly relate to the world around them physically, intellectually, and spiritually. It's like the way we are living in our country. It's like everybody just left to fence for himself. We wake up and everything is left to the family. Maybe some people go to church, but there must be a government policy whereby everybody, once you are born, you are registered, you get your birth certificate, and there are instructions of what you are supposed to do as a citizen and how you are supposed to relate to the world around you. And you are supposed to have the information that determines to what extent you are able to contribute as a citizen to your country. What is expected of you in relation to your environment, physical environment, to the trees, to throwing things around, to, defecating all over the place, to what you are supposed to understand, the rules of how to drive, how to cross the road, how to, what are your responsibilities before the society, before your brothers and sisters, before your neighbor, and things like that. There must be a system whereby the society itself is grooming the populace. If that is not happening, then we don't have a direction. We don't have a concerted effort, concerted program that people are supposed to live by. With the way things are right now, it's just like everybody does what his conscience tells him to do. We relate to our environment the way we have been taught, and we are taught differently, so there is no concerted behavior pattern for every Nigerian. If indeed we want to talk about development, if indeed we want to talk about human development and about human being in its totality, to be able to, live, not just to live to survive, but to live and relate to our nation, to the country, to the society in a way that will bring about development. Intellectual development, physical development, spiritual development of the country as a whole, then we have to have a program whereby, and a strategy that we have whereby everybody in the country is guarded, and not by force, but is just monitored in such a way. Every society is monitored. Every society is under some kind of supervision or the other. You go to developed country, you cannot just appear, in the country and just be wandering about and just be everywhere. No, you've got to abide by some laws, by some demands of the society. You've got to know how to, for example, you cannot just go out in America and walk on the lawn, for example. If you walk on the lawn like that, you'll be arrested, you'll be fined. So what does that tell me about? That tells me that there are some requirements on how a citizen should relate to a physical environment. You cannot just go and trespass, for example, the territory of another person. Those are guidelines for the society as a whole. But in Nigeria, people will not just walk on the lawn. They will defecate it. Nobody knows anything. Nobody cares. Everybody will be seeing him and nobody says anything. And that also says that there is no responsibility of citizens before one another. For example, if somebody is just walking across the lawn in America, another citizen that sees that, not just America, even Western world, another citizen that sees that reports immediately because of the responsibility of that citizen before the society at large. He's been taught to report everything that is not done according to what is required. So our attitudes must be guarded, there must be efforts to educate the masses on regular basis on how to relate to his physical world, with the things that he's seeing and the things that he's hearing, the things that he's having relationship with. Physical world is, starting from the house that he lives in. You know that even though you build your own house in the West, there are rules that you have to abide by in even your own house. There are things that you cannot do in your own house. Even for you to do renovation in your own house, and do some renovations, you need to let the government know about it. So the people, everybody, even in your own house, what you do is still under supervision. There is supervision everywhere, but in Nigeria, no supervision, no permission, nothing. Everybody just living as if they're just, free agents. When it comes to relating with the society, we've got to teach people not just how to behave in his own house, but how to behave in his community as well, how to behave with his neighbors, how to behave with people around him. What are his responsibility before his neighbor, before people that he lives around? And also, what are his responsibility before the surrounding, everything that surrounds him? How should he behave? What are the things that he has to do every day? What are his daily endeavors and his daily responsibilities before the society at large, before his neighbor? For example, if you don't clean your lawn, or you don't clean your gutter, or your things that you don't even have to have a gutter, because then you are going to jail. Your landscape, everything. So if we don't teach our people like that, we cannot talk about development. You've got to teach citizen what is expected of him in relations to his attitude towards the nation, towards the society, towards his community, towards the physical world that he sees. And then you could say he's a citizen. If he doesn't have those expectations, he's not a citizen. And in Nigeria, most of us don't even know what is expected of us. So then there is the symbolic relationship, symbiotic relationship between the one citizen and the other. We have mutual responsibility before one another, because the action of one person impacts the other, and the action of another person impacts has impacts on the other people too. So we must also know how to relate with one another. We must know what is expected of me. I must know as a citizen what is expected of me in relations to the culture. What is culture? What is the value of it? I must also know as a citizen, the government must teach every citizen the values of the land. What are our values? What do we believe in? What are the things I must inculcate in myself? What are the values that I must inculcate in my family members? What are the values that must be taught to my children? What is the role of religion in not just getting my needs met or praying to my God, but what are the functions and the roles and responsibility of religious organizations to bring about development? What are the things that are being taught in, in our country? Everybody does anything he wants in his own church. He will say, no, but you called me. You are not the one who called me. So he does anything he wants. But do you know that in the West, you cannot just do it? If anybody reports that you are teaching or saying something in your church that is against the fundamental principles and values of that nation, you are going to be punished for it. Then you also have to know what is our attitude towards our heritage as a nation. What are our heritage? What are the things that we value? What are the things that we cannot, be indifferent about? So all these experiences, all this knowledge are what makes us a citizen and what creates the atmosphere to be able to build, a nation that will grow, that will, be developed and come to civilization. Then we also have to be aware that all these attitudes, right attitude to the nature, right attitude to the country, to the environment, to the society, to one another, all of them have impact on our productivity. All of them have impact on how we produce, how much we produce, how much we are competitive, how much our economic grows, how much we are able to export, how much money we are able to make, and eventually it has effect on our standard of living. So we will never be developed if we don't take care of preparing the citizens and the nation and our countrymen in elementary values upon which that will enable them to know their responsibility as citizens and what is expected of them. So we need change. There is a huge amount of change that must be done to bring about change in the mindset and the way our people think, the way they behave, the way they behave to the nature, the way they behave to the environment, to the physical world around them, to the people around them, in their own house, the way they believe, the way they behave. Everything must be under some instructions or the other. Intellectually too, we need to teach people that, they have responsibility to develop themselves intellectually. There is something that is called intellectual environment. We need to also teach them how to, relate to the environment intellectually, how to manage their own intellectual environment or ideological environment. That what do I mean by philosophical, intellectual or ideological environment? Ideological environment, intellectual environment is consisting of the philosophies of the nation. What are our philosophy? What is the philosophy of Nigerian? What is the national philosophy of Nigeria? For example, if you go to America, they'll say American dream. That is their philosophy as a nation. What is our philosophy? What are our ideologies? What are our belief systems? What are our value systems? How should we relate to superstitions? What are the programs that we have to overcome ignorance? So our intellectual mind, our ideological development as a nation has a lot to do with our human capital resources and human capital output. So we need to be able to to intentionally groom our people and develop them in their intellectual perception of life. We need to make sure that they understand what life is about, the ideologies and philosophies of life. We need to train them and put all these things in our educational system. We need to formulate ideologies, philosophies, belief systems, value systems. We need to have a program that helps us to set our people free from superstitions, from ignorance, without delivering the country from the grip of superstition. There is no way we can even begin to talk about development until you strip a nation of their superstitious beliefs. It's going to be very difficult, at least for a large amount of people in the country. We need to teach them critical thinking. So all these things affect, because the intellectual environment of an individual affects what he believes in. And the way he believes is how he is going to act. So the output of individuals depends on what they believe. For example, if in my country people believe that one day of favor is better than 10 years of labor, that is the intellectual environment they are going to be living in. And if it's not one person believing like that, but a lot of people, they will be looking for favor. One day of favor is better than 10 years of labor. They will not labor. Why should they labor when one day is better, of favor is better? So those are the kind of things with the belief system have to be worked on. We need to make sure that we put ideological beliefs, in perspective from schools. Hollywood, if our Hollywood, is it Nollywood? They call it Nollywood, is busy projecting images of black magic and the power of these black magic witch doctors and of it fetish stuff. That is the intellectual environment and the ideological environment that people are growing up in. They will be more superstitious than anything else. Instead of projecting ideologies that bring down superstition, they are rather cultivating superstition in people. If our churches will say only God can help Nigeria, then people who will build the country will only be praying to God to help Nigeria. So the government needs to have a whole national reorientation policies that will deal with questions of intellectual environment, the philosophies that of the nation, the ideologies, the belief system, the value system. In America, they can even come and take your children if you teach your children some of the values that are opposing to the values of the country. They will come and arrest them, because what we believe will trap us. We will become prisoners of our own belief systems. So the whole country will become prisoners of wrong belief system. We'll become prisoners of our superstitions. And so many superstitions in Nigeria that, we are all prisoners of these superstitions. These are the things that affect development or lack of development. We are poor, we are underdeveloped because we have not addressed these issues. We're only talking about economic statistics, road, bridge, and all those things. We are not talking about what makes human being human. What makes us to believe what we believe? What makes us to behave the way we behave? There are values and value systems, belief systems that will either enhance development, economic development and productivity, or hinder development. But the kind of philosophies and ideologies that we have today, our belief systems and value systems, superstitions and ignorance, they hinder economic growth and development. The way we believe right now, they will not allow us to dominate the earth, to conquer the earth, to multiply. But we are rather dominated by some theories that are not having relations with the truth. We are dominated by wrong philosophies, wrong ideologies. We have been enslaved as a nation. Once our people are enslaved, our nation is enslaved. Once our people are deceived, it means our nation is deceived. But that's why we are restricted. We are limited. We cannot be motivated. We are least informed. We are uninformed, or what do you call it? We are ill-informed. We are not educated. We are guided. We are misguided. We are misled. And people don't have real objective capacity, intellectual capacity to live and to compare themselves to people of the 21st century. The world has moved on, and we are still trapped in some Stone Age mentality over there. So we have a problem to solve, and the government needs to address these things. But they are not right now. They're just talking about mundane stuff. But what I'm trying to say is that that environment, the intellectual environment, controls the human mind. So much that it could even dictate how a citizen, relates to his environment, to his neighbor, to his family, and to the world at large. We need to change. We cannot change a man without changing his mind. As a man thinks or thinketh, so he is. So we must use, the avenues of government, politics, media, entertainment, to change the way our people think. Until we are able to do that, we will not go far. We will not have it developed. So somebody could say, "Oh, what about other countries that are developing?" Well, you can have economic development, but you will not have, you will not be developed. You will not be civilized. Just like China. China is having a lot of economic development right now, but it's still called a developing country. India, they are still called a developing country. Why? Because economy is good. Arab countries have the highest standard of living per capita in the sense of money, but they are still developing world. Why? Because they have not been able to change their intellectual environment. Of course, we also still have, apart from physical, I'm talking about physical environment, intellectual environment, then spiritual environment. We need to change all those three things to be able to create an environment for development, for real growth and development. Of course, the spiritual environment, I will not even say much about that, because we have all these churches, but the churches are not creating the right environment for national growth and development. The churches are not geared towards developing people or nation. But the impression that I have is that our churches are continuing to do the same thing that our traditional religion did. They are holding back people in captivity, in the slaves of superstitions and wrong belief systems. Whereas church and spirituality is supposed to empower you, give you direction, fuel your energy, give you incentive to be able to work extra, to be able to believe extra, to be able to attempt to do something that ordinary people will not do. Your faith is supposed to give you an edge to be able to do and attempt to do what other people will not even try to do. faith in God. Spirituality is supposed to bring about concentration. Concentration that brings you to a place of precision. And through precision, your precision will take you to increase productivity. And productivity will make you to be competitive and be the leader in your world. But right now, we don't have that. Our church is not stimulating us to come to concentration in terms of productivity, and or talk less of precision. It's rather the opposite. It brings us to illusion and mirage. So the kind of church that we have, religious theories that we have in Nigeria, is a pity. You know, the churches need to be changed, because they are not even teaching people to convert the experiences they have in church. Church need to understand conversion. They need to be able to teach people to convert their spirituality to physical products. They need to be able to teach people to convert ideas, inspirations, direction, prophecies, and all spiritual experiences that they are having into tangible product. If we could do that, of course, then spiritual environment, the spirituality in our country would have added to national growth and development. In a nutshell, I personally believe that the only spiritual atmosphere that we need is to have personal relationship with God. Have your personal relationship with God and practice solitude. You know, practice solitude, believe in personal relationship, read the Word of God, and go do it. That is the kind of attitude that will lead to growth, development, and civilization. So, I think enough said on that. We need to change people. It is change people that will be able to change the nation. Creating the right atmosphere or environment for national development is through people. Right now in my country, the kind of environment they are creating is just building bridges, road, and and they are not even doing a good job at that too. But if you don't change people, it doesn't matter what you build. Those same people will destroy it. But if you change people first, then they will be able to maintain whatever you build. Even they themselves will build for themselves. So creating the right environment for national development is by, first of all, changing the physical environment and understanding of people to how to relate to the environment, changing their belief systems, changing their ideological beliefs, their philosophical beliefs, changing their mental, understanding, and changing their intellectual understanding of the environment, and then spiritual understanding of the environment too. So we need to change the man, physically, intellectually, and spiritually. Then we could be talking about national growth and development. Well, thank you so much. I guess that is it for today. For the love of God, church and nation. Peace.